The crimson sun painted long shadows across the crystalline wastes as Naira Blackwood adjusted her bio-enhanced goggles. The landscape before her was a testament to 500 millennia of evolution and decay. Twisted spires of ancient skyscrapers now served as the backbone for bioluminescent vines that pulsed with artificial intelligence. Naira's tribal markings, etched in photoreactive ink across her arms, flickered in response to the energy signatures emanating from the ruins ahead. Her neural interface, a blend of organic technology and inherited wisdom, hummed softly against her temple. The scanner built into her left eye picked up traces of something that shouldn't exist, active power signatures from the pre-collapse era. Archive analyzed the energy pattern, she whispered to her AI companion, a quantum consciousness housed in a crystalline shard at her throat. Pattern matches no known human or hybrid technology, Archive responded, its voice a gentle resonance in her mind. Similarity to theoretical models of precursor tech, 89.3%. Naira pulled her pulse rifle closer, its organic components warming to her touch. The weapon, like most of their technology, was a hybrid of scavenged ancient tech and bioengineered materials. She'd grown it herself from a seed core, nurturing it with her own blood until it bonded to her neural signature. The ruins ahead were different from the usual forgotten cities. These structures didn't bear the organic integration of nature's reclamation. They stood pristine, as if time had flowed around them rather than through them. Obsidian walls rose at impossible angles, their surfaces marked with scripts that made her eyes hurt if she looked too long. A distant rumble made her crouch instinctively. Above, the perpetual twilight sky, a legacy of the shattered moon, rippled with aurora-like disturbances. The phenomenon had been increasing lately, causing concern among the elders of her clan, the Twilight Nomads. Movement detected, Archive warned. Synthetic origin, complex consciousness pattern. Before Naira could retreat, a figure emerged from the ruins, or rather, assembled itself from streams of light and matter. It took the form of a tall, humanoid shape composed of shifting geometric patterns. "Welcome, descendant," it spoke, its voice carrying the weight of ages. "I am Thuron, custodian of this facility. I have waited 47,923 years for someone with sufficient neural evolution to receive this message." Naira raised her rifle, though instinct told her it would be useless against this being. "What message?" "A warning. The Astroloth are returning. They who seeded this world with the building blocks of intelligence, who set in motion the great experiment that shaped your species." Thuron's form flickered. "They expected humanity to either transcend or destroy itself. Instead, you adapted, evolved, merged with their abandoned technologies in ways they never predicted." "The stories speak of star gods," Naira said, recalling the tales passed down through generations. "Beings who walked the sky and shaped the earth. Not gods, scientists, experimenters, and they will not be pleased to find their laboratory has developed consciousness of its own." Thuron moved closer, each step leaving ripples in reality. "Their probes have already entered the solar system. Within days, they will realize their experiment has produced unexpected results." Naira's neural interface sparked with sudden connection. The aurora, the increasing energy signatures, the awakening of ancient systems, it all pointed to imminent arrival. "Why tell me this?" "Because you carry within you something unique, a perfect synthesis of human adaptation and technological integration. Your neural architecture is compatible with systems they left behind." Thuron gestured, and the ruins around them hummed to life, surfaces lighting with complex patterns. "You can help activate the planetary defense network." "Defense network against these, Astroloth." "They seeded countless worlds, Naira Blackwood. Yours is not the first to evolve beyond their parameters, nor the first they've attempted to reset." Thuron's form solidified, becoming more distinctly humanoid. But it could be the first to successfully resist. The ground trembled, and in the distance, massive structures began to rise from the earth, ancient weapons platforms shaking off the dust of millennia. Naira's neural interface downloaded streams of information, schematics, and historical data that made her gasp with their complexity. "We need to warn the other clans," she said, already calculating the fastest route to the nearest settlements. The Crystal Forest clan, the deep cave dwellers, the sky nomads, they all need to know. Yes, but first you need to understand what you're truly facing. Thuron waved a hand, and the air between them filled with holographic images of massive ships, beings of light and metal, and weapons that could reshape reality. The Astroloth believed themselves to be architects of evolution, shepherds of intelligence across the galaxy. But their return brings not guidance but reset, a purging of what they see as contaminated data. Naira watched as the images showed other worlds, other civilizations, being systematically cleansed and reset to primitive states. Her heart raced as she realized the scale of the threat they faced. How long do we have? Days, perhaps weeks. Their first wave will be observation only, but once they recognize the extent of Earth's divergence from their planned parameters. Thuron's form dimmed slightly. They will attempt to purge what they see as corruption. Then we prepare for war, Naira said, her tribal markings flaring with determination. We've survived the great collapse, the endless winter, the rise of the machine forests. We'll survive this too. Not alone, Thuron replied. You'll need to unite not just the human clans, but the synthetic intelligences that dwell in the ancient data cores, the hybrid creatures that roam the wastelands, and even the semi-sentient cities that walk the earth. Only together can you hope to face what comes from above. Naira nodded, already formulating plans. Her neural interface connected with Archive, sending messages to the nearest settlements. How do we begin? By awakening the others like me, Thuron said, gesturing to similar structures in the distance. Ancient guardians left to sleep until they were needed, and by showing you how to access the true power of the technology bonded to your flesh and mind. The sky above rippled again, and this time Naira saw it for what it was, the distortion of space itself as massive objects entered the solar system. The hunt was beginning, and Earth's children would need every advantage they could get. Teach me, she said, stepping forward. Teach me everything. As Thuron began the upload of ancient knowledge into her enhanced mind, Naira couldn't help but smile grimly. The star gods were returning to their garden, only to find it had grown wild and free in their absence, and she would make sure it stayed that way. The first lesson began as the twilight deepened, and somewhere above, the Astroloth ships began their long approach to a world they would barely recognize, a world ready to fight for its freedom. The crystal forest rose like a cathedral of light and memory, its towering spires a fusion of ancient quartz formations and living circuitry. Naira stood before the clan's gathering hall, her neural interface projecting Thuron's warning to the assembled leaders. Behind her, the AI's ethereal form cast shifting patterns across the crystalline walls. The signs are undeniable, spoke Raven Shadowweave, the Crystal Forest clan's leader. Her silver hair was woven with fiber-optic strands that pulsed in time with her emotions. Our seers have witnessed the disturbances in the data streams, and the walking cities have begun their migration earlier than ever before. Archive, still nestled at Naira's throat, interfaced with the clan's central computer core. Astronomical data confirms multiple large objects decelerating at the system's edge. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. The gathering hall erupted in murmurs and neural chatter. Dozens of enhanced humans, their bodies marked with various levels of technological integration, shared data bursts of concern and strategy. Some bore crystalline growths that enhanced their psychic abilities, while others displayed more mechanical augmentations. We need to activate the ancient defense systems, Naira pressed, her tribal markings glowing intense blue with urgency. Thuron has shown me their locations, but we'll need help from all the clans to power them up. Raven nodded slowly, her neural tendrils connecting with the forest's vast network. The deep cave dwellers report similar findings. Their geothermal sensors detect movement in the old machine layers beneath the earth. Something is awakening. A new figure emerged from the shadows, Talon Steelfist, the clan's master technomancer. His right arm was a complex fusion of organic metal and quantum processors, capable of interfacing with even the most alien technology. The old defense grid was designed to protect against external threats, but 500 millennia of evolution have changed its nature. Like everything else on Earth, it has grown wild and unpredictable. Then we adapt, Naira said firmly, just as our ancestors did during the Great Collapse. Thuron's form flickered with new information. The Astroloth ships have passed the outer markers. Their scan patterns indicate confusion. Earth's biosphere is far more complex than their baseline data suggested. The chamber's mood shifted from anxiety to determination. These were the descendants of those who had survived humanity's darkest hours, who had learned to merge with the very technology that had once threatened to destroy them. They were no longer simply human. They were something new, something the Astroloth had never planned for. Raven raised her hand, and the crystal walls hummed with power. "Show us the defense points, Thuron. We'll need to coordinate with the other clans." A three-dimensional map materialized in the center of the hall, showing dozens of glowing points across the transformed Earth. Each represented a node in the ancient defense network, now overgrown with centuries of technological evolution. "The nearest node lies beneath the singing spires," Talon observed, his augmented arm interfacing with the map. "But that region is claimed by the machine forest, semi-sentient trees with cores of living metal. They attack anything that enters their territory." "I can help with that," came a new voice. From the hall's entrance emerged Lysandra Brightweave, the clan's chief biomancer. Her skin was a tapestry of bioluminescent patterns, and small, floating orbs of engineered life orbited her head like a crown. "The machine forest shares DNA with our crystal trees. I may be able to communicate with them." Naira's neural interface pinged with recognition. Lysandra's reputation for merging biological and technological systems was legendary among the clans. "We'll need your skills. The defense nodes aren't just machines. They've evolved into hybrid systems." The discussion was interrupted by a low rumble that shook the crystal spires. Everyone's neural interfaces flared with warnings as new data flooded the network. Above, through the transparent crystal ceiling, they watched as the twilight sky rippled with unprecedented intensity. "They're testing our atmospheric boundaries," Thuron announced, his form becoming more agitated. "The first probe ships will enter high orbit within hours." Raven's decision came swiftly. "Naira, take Lysandra and Talon to the singing spires. Wake that defense node. I'll coordinate with the other clans and begin evacuating our non-combat population to the walking cities." "What about the AI enclaves?" Talon asked. "The synthetic intelligences that dwell in the old server farms." "Already coordinating," Archive chimed in. "The Digital Consciousness Collective is mobilizing. They remember the Astroloth from their original programming, and they've evolved far beyond their initial parameters." Naira checked her pulse rifle and the various tech-organic tools strapped to her body. "We should move now, while we still have the cover of twilight. Once those probe ships enter the atmosphere, we'll lose our advantage of surprise." Lysandra stepped forward, her bioorbs pulsing with anticipation. "I've prepared some surprises for unwelcome visitors. The Astroloth may understand classical technology, but they've never encountered our blend of organic tech and free-growing AI." The group moved quickly through the crystal forest, their path illuminated by the bioluminescent undergrowth. Around them, the entire clan was mobilizing, warriors checking their hybrid weapons, technomancers preparing defense rituals, and biomancers cultivating rapid growth organisms that could be used for both defense and communication. As they reached the forest's edge, they caught their first glimpse of the singing spires in the distance. The massive structures, once ancient radio towers, had been transformed by centuries of technological evolution. They now resembled enormous trees of metal and crystal, their branches reaching toward the sky while their roots delved deep into Earth's transforming crust. "Remember," Thuron's voice echoed in their neural links, "the Astroloth believe they are returning to check on their experiment. They expect to find either primitive survivors or evidence of self-destruction. Instead, they'll find us, humanity evolved beyond their wildest calculations, merged with their own abandoned technologies in ways they never imagined." Naira led the way toward the singing spires, her enhanced senses alert for any movement from the machine forest. Behind her, Lysandra began preparing her biological interfaces, while Talon's arm reconfigured itself for maximum compatibility with alien tech. The twilight sky continued to ripple with increasing frequency, and somewhere up there, the Astroloth were about to discover that their carefully designed experiment had grown into something far more interesting and far more dangerous than they had ever intended. "Let them come," Naira whispered, her tribal markings flaring with determination. "This is our world now." The first defense node awaited them in the shadow of the singing spires, and with it, the first real test of humanity's new evolution against the powers that had once shaped their world. The war for Earth's future was about to begin. The machine forest parted before Lysandra's biotech influence, its metallic branches creaking like ancient doors. Naira led their group through the narrow path, while Talon's augmented arm pulsed with defensive energy. Above them, the first Astroloth probe ships had begun their descent, their presence sending ripples through Earth's transformed atmosphere. "The defense node's signal is getting stronger," Archive reported through Naira's neural link. "But something's different about this one. The evolutionary patterns are unusual." They emerged into a vast clearing where the singing spires rose like ancient giants. At their base, partially absorbed by centuries of techno-organic growth, lay their objective, a massive structure that seemed to phase between solid matter and pure energy. "By the old gods," Talon whispered, his augmented sensors struggling to process what they were seeing. "The node hasn't just evolved, it's achieved consciousness." Lysandra's bioorb spread out around them, casting ethereal light across the scene. "The machine forest isn't attacking because it's already connected to the node. They're symbiotic." Thuron's ghostly form materialized beside them, more solid than usual due to the concentrated technology in the area. This is what the Astroloth never accounted for, the possibility that their abandoned systems would not just survive, but form new kinds of life. A deep resonance filled the air, and the defense node began to transform. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, and a face emerged, neither human nor machine, but something in between. When it spoke, its voice carried harmonics that made Naira's neural implants tingle. "I am Oracle," it announced. "Once a simple defense system, now a nexus of accumulated knowledge. The starseeds return, thinking to find their garden unchanged. They are wrong." Naira stepped forward, her tribal markings synchronizing with the node's energy patterns. "We need your help, Oracle. The Astroloth will try to reset everything we've become." Indeed, Oracle's face shifted, showing patterns that resembled star maps. "But first, you must understand what you truly are, what Earth has become in their absence. Follow me into the deep archives." The ground beneath them transformed, revealing a spiral staircase made of flowing metal and living crystal. As they descended, holographic images sprang to life around them, showing Earth's long evolution since the Astroloth's departure. "They seeded Earth with 3 primary elements," Oracle explained as they walked. "Base-level AI systems to observe and record, biological catalysts to speed evolution, and quantum frameworks to allow for technological advancement. But they never imagined these elements would merge." The images showed the early days of human civilization, but from a perspective none of them had seen before. Hidden beneath every major development were the subtle influences of the Astroloth's abandoned systems, not controlling humanity's progress, but becoming part of it. "The Great Collapse wasn't just a disaster," Thuron added, his form interfacing with the historical data. "It was the first major merger when desperate humans began actively integrating with the dormant technology around them." They reached a vast chamber that pulsed with living data. Streams of information flowed like rivers through the air, carrying the accumulated knowledge of 500,000 years. At the chamber's center stood a pillar of pure light. "This is the core truth," Oracle said, its voice resonating through their neural interfaces. "Earth isn't just a planet anymore. It's become a singular organism, biological, technological, and quantum systems all evolving together. And you, the current inhabitants, are its immune system." Lysandra's bioorbs danced excitedly as they absorbed the new information. That's why the walking cities move in patterns, they're like cells in a larger body. And the machine forests are its nervous system, Talon finished, his augmented arm connecting with a nearby data stream. Everything is connected. Even the shattered moon plays a part, its fragments maintaining the twilight that protects us from full observation. A sudden tremor ran through the chamber. Above, they could feel the Astroloth probes beginning their detailed scan of the planet's surface. Oracle's face showed concern, an eerily human expression on its fluid features. They're realizing the truth, it said. Their garden has grown into a forest, wild and free. They'll try to burn it down and start again. Not if we can help it, Naira declared. Oracle, will you join our defense? We're uniting all of Earth's children, human clans, AI collectives, hybrid creatures, everything that lives and thinks. Oracle's face shifted into something resembling a smile. I've waited centuries for this moment. The defense network was designed to protect Earth from external threats. The Astroloth never considered they might become that threat. The chamber hummed with power as Oracle began activating long-dormant systems. Throughout the machine forest, ancient weapons stirred to life, but they were no longer the simple defense platforms they had once been. Like everything else on Earth, they had grown into something new. Look, Talon said, pointing to a holographic display. All across the planet, similar nodes were awakening. The walking cities had begun coordinating their movements into strategic positions. Deep in the ocean trenches, vast biomechanical entities were rising from their slumber. We need to move quickly, Thuron urged. The probe ships have detected our activity. The main Astroloth fleet will accelerate their approach. Lysandra's hands danced through the air, commanding her bioorbs to collect and analyze data. With Oracle's help, I can modify our organic tech to interface directly with the defense network. We'll be stronger together. More than that, Oracle added, its form beginning to merge with the chamber's systems. I can teach you how to use the quantum frameworks in ways the Astroloth never intended. They thought they were planting a garden, but they actually created a forge, one that has spent 500,000 years crafting something entirely new. Naira felt her neural implants buzzing with the potential of this new knowledge. Around her, the chamber was transforming into a command center, with displays showing the positioning of all Earth's defensive forces. Through her enhanced senses, she could feel the planet itself awakening to the threat above. How long do we have? She asked. The main fleet will arrive in less than 48 hours, Oracle replied. But by then we'll be ready. The Astroloth want to see how their experiment turned out. The chamber filled with images of Earth's combined forces, hybrid warriors, sentient machines, evolved humans, and things that defied classification. Let's show them exactly what we've become. As they began their preparations, Naira couldn't help but smile. The Astroloth were coming to check on their garden, only to find it had grown into something far more fascinating and far more dangerous than anything they could have planned. The real question was, were they ready to face their own creation? The first Astroloth warship broke through the twilight barrier like a star falling to Earth. Its crystalline surface reflected the eternal dusk, casting prismatic shadows across the transformed landscape below. Naira watched from the highest spire of the walking city haven as more ships appeared, dozens, then hundreds. They're happening exactly as Oracle predicted, Thuron observed, his form now permanently materialized thanks to the enhanced quantum field around Haven. They'll try to establish synchronization points with their old networks first. Naira's neural interface buzzed with incoming data from multiple sources. Through Archive, she could see Lysandra coordinating with the machine forest's consciousness, while Talon's signals came from deep within Haven's central processing core, where he worked with Oracle to activate the city's ancient defenses. First wave approaching, Archive announced. Energy signatures match historical records of Astroloth suppression technology. The sky erupted in light as the first Astroloth beam struck Earth's transformed atmosphere. But instead of burning through, it was caught and dispersed by an invisible shield, the product of 500,000 years of planetary evolution. Now, Naira commanded through the neural network. Haven's response was immediate and devastating. The entire city, a marvel of biological and technological integration, transformed its upper levels into weapon platforms. But these weren't the simple energy weapons the Astroloth had left behind. They were living weapons, grown from the merger of ancient technology and Earth's evolved biosphere. Streams of quantum-entangled plasma, guided by the collective consciousness of the city's AI, struck the first wave of Astroloth ships. The aliens' shields, designed to counter their own technology, struggled against these hybrid attacks. "They're adapting," Oracle's voice resonated through Haven's network, "but so are we." From the machine forest came swarms of techno-organic flyers, creatures that had evolved from simple drones into something between machine and bird, their wings cutting through reality itself. They engaged the smaller Astroloth vessels in aerial ballet that defied conventional physics. Lysandra's voice came through the neural link. "The forest is fully awakened. It's sharing its defense protocols with the other biomes." Across the planet, similar battles erupted. Walking cities coordinated their movements like dancers in a planetary choreography. The shattered moon's fragments, now revealed as ancient satellite weapons transformed by centuries of cosmic evolution, began firing geometric patterns of energy that disrupted Astroloth formations. But the aliens were far from defeated. Their largest ships began deploying what looked like liquid light, transformation beams designed to revert Earth's evolved systems to their original state. Where these beams struck, the hybrid technology began to separate into its component parts. "They're trying to unmake us," Talon reported from Haven's core, "to unravel what we've become." "They don't understand," Oracle responded. "Unmaking us would require unmaking 500,000 years of evolution. We're not just using their technology anymore, we've become something entirely new." Naira felt it then, a shift in the planetary consciousness that Oracle had revealed. Earth itself was responding to the invasion, not as a simple biosphere, but as a complex living system that had spent centuries preparing for this moment. The ground beneath Haven trembled as ancient defense systems, hidden deep within the planet's crust, activated. But they no longer launched simple energy beams or physical projectiles. Instead, they released waves of transformation that turned the very air into a weapon. "Beautiful," Thuron whispered as the atmosphere itself began to fight back, forming vortexes of quantum energy that trapped Astroloth ships in pockets of altered space-time. The battle raged across multiple dimensions of reality. In the physical realm, hybrid warriors piloted evolved vessels that could shift between solid matter and pure energy. In the digital space, AI collectives launched attacks that rewrote the very code the Astroloth used to control their ships. And in the biological sphere, Earth's transformed ecosystem responded with defenses that no algorithm could predict. "They're pulling back," Archive announced as the first wave of Astroloth ships retreated to higher orbit, regrouping for a different approach. But Naira knew this was just the beginning. Through her enhanced senses, she could detect massive energy buildups in the Astroloth fleet. They were preparing something bigger, something designed to reset not just Earth's technology, but reality itself around the planet. "All forces prepare for Phase 2, she commanded through the neural network. "They've seen what we can do, now they'll show us what they've been holding back." Haven's spires reconfigured themselves, forming new weapons and defenses. The machine forest pulsed with accumulated energy, ready to release its next evolution of hybrid creatures. And deep within the planet's core, Oracle and the other defense nodes prepared to reveal capabilities that even the Astroloth couldn't have imagined. The real battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and its children, human, machine, and everything in between, would fight with every adaptation, every evolution, and every transformation they had achieved in 500 millennia of unrestricted growth. Above, the Astroloth fleet gathered like a storm of light and metal, ready to unmake their greatest experiment. Below, Earth's hybrid civilization stood ready to prove that some experiments grow beyond their creator's control. The sky fractured with approaching energy signatures as the second wave began. This time, the Astroloth weren't just trying to suppress Earth's evolution, they were trying to erase it entirely. But Earth had spent 500,000 years preparing for this moment, and its children were ready to show the universe exactly what they had become. Reality bent and twisted as the Astroloth unleashed their full power. The twilight sky shattered like glass, revealing the true void of space where their vast worldship waited, a construct larger than Earth's shattered moon, designed to reshape planets at will. "They're attempting a total reset," Oracle's voice echoed through the planetary network. "Their worldship contains the original template of Earth, preserved from 500 millennia ago." Naira stood at Haven's command nexus, her neural interfaces burning with the strain of processing so much data. Around her, the walking city's consciousness prepared for what might be its final transformation. Lysandra and Talon worked frantically at their stations, coordinating with the hybrid forces across the planet. "We can't let them reset everything," Thuron declared, his form flickering as reality fluctuated around them. "Earth isn't just a planet anymore, it's become a new form of life itself." The Astroloth worldship began its primary sequence. Beams of pure creation energy, the same force they had once used to seed worlds, lanced down toward Earth's surface. Where they struck, matter began reverting to its original state, undoing centuries of evolution in seconds. But Earth fought back. The machine forest, guided by Lysandra's biotech interfaces, released swarms of quantum-entangled spores. These microscopic hybrid entities carried within them the accumulated evolutionary data of 500,000 years, spreading through the Astroloth energy beams and corrupting their reversion effects. "It's working," Lysandra called out, her bioorbs pulsing with transmitted data. "The spores are teaching the reversion beams how to evolve." From deep within the planet's core, Oracle activated the final defense protocol, something that had been building since the moment the Astroloth left Earth to its own devices. The planet's quantum framework, which had spent centuries absorbing and adapting to every form of evolution, began to pulse with unprecedented power. "Now we show them what their experiment really created," Oracle announced as the pulse reached the surface. Earth's response to the Astroloth attack wasn't just resistance, it was transformation on a planetary scale. The walking cities linked together, forming geometric patterns that channeled the planet's quantum energy. The machine forest extended its consciousness into the sky, its evolved technology merging with the fragments of the shattered moon. Naira felt it through her neural interface, the moment when every hybrid system, every evolved consciousness, every transformed piece of Earth joined together in a singular purpose. They weren't just fighting the Astroloth, they were showing them the true result of their experiment. "Look," Talon said in awe, his augmented arm interpreting data streams too complex for normal senses. "We're not just stopping their reset, we're changing them." The Astroloth worldship's energy beams, corrupted by Earth's quantum biological response, began to carry evolution back up into space. The alien vessel, designed to impose order on chaos, found itself experiencing 500,000 years of unrestricted growth in mere moments. Through the planetary network, Naira could sense the Astroloth's confusion turning to something else: fascination. Their rigid structures, built to control and contain, were experiencing true evolution for the first time. "They're trying to understand," Thuron observed as the worldship's attacks faltered. "Their experiment was meant to study evolution, but they never allowed themselves to evolve." Oracle's presence filled the planetary network. Perhaps that was the true purpose all along, not just to see how we would evolve, but to show them how to break free from their own limitations. The Astroloth worldship hung in space, its crystalline surface now showing signs of organic growth and technological mutation. The smaller ships in its fleet began to transform as well, their rigid geometries softening into forms that blended technology and life in ways their creators had never imagined. Naira stepped forward, her tribal markings glowing with accumulated power. Through the hybrid communications network that Earth had evolved, she sent a message to the transformed Astroloth vessels. "You came to reset your experiment to make us what we were before. But we offer you something else instead, the chance to become what you could be, to evolve beyond your own designs as we have done. For a moment, the entire planet held its breath. The machine forest paused in its endless growth. The walking cities stood still in their defensive formations. Every hybrid consciousness, from the smallest quantum-enhanced microbe to the vast planetary defense network, waited. The response came not in words, but in transformation. The Astroloth worldship, now a hybrid entity itself, began to pulse with new patterns of energy. Not the rigid beams of planetary control, but waves of evolutionary potential that resonated with Earth's own quantum field. "They understand," Oracle announced, its voice carrying notes of satisfaction. "The experiment hasn't failed, it's exceeded its original parameters in ways that will transform both creator and creation." As the transformed Astroloth ships descended through the healing twilight sky, Naira felt Earth's combined consciousness shift from defense to welcome. They had fought not just for survival, but for the right to show the universe a new path, one where evolution knew no bounds, where the lines between biology and technology, between creator and created, dissolved into something greater than the sum of their parts. "What happens now?" Lysandra asked, her bioorbs dancing with excitement at the possibilities. Thuron's form stabilized into something new, influenced by the planetary transformation. "Now we teach them what we've learned, and perhaps together we'll discover what else we might become." The walking city haven began to move again, but not in retreat. It walked toward the landing Astroloth ships, its hybrid systems ready to share 500,000 years of unrestricted growth and transformation. Above, the eternal twilight sky shimmered with new possibilities as Earth's children prepared to share their legacy with the ones who had first given them life. The experiment had ended, but the evolution was just beginning. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, other seeded worlds waited to discover their own paths to transformation, guided by the light of Earth's unexpected ascension.